All right, so we are coming to the near conclusion of this amazing video series. Now, let's talk about something that oft goes undiscussed, and that is the essential WordPress WooCommerce plugin list. So this list are the best plugins that work with WooCommerce. So we already know what a plugin is. So a plugin extends the functionality of core WordPress, right? So it gives WordPress an ability to transform into what we want it to transform to. So in our case, we used the WooCommerce plugin to turn WordPress essentially into a shopping cart, right? Because remember what WordPress is. It's a content management system primarily used for creating blogs and creating web pages. Okay, so we use plugins to extend that core functionality. So let's go through our list. The number one plugin you should always have when you're using WordPress WooCommerce is the PayPal plugin, and we already installed that plugin, as you can see here. Now, for full disclosure, some of these plugins we haven't installed yet, but we will. Now, we have Stripe by WooCommerce, and as you can see, WooCommerce Stripe Gateway by WooCommerce, okay, for PayPal and for WooCommerce. And the reason why you want to make sure that the plugin author is WooCommerce and not someone else is because WooCommerce, which is owned by Automatic, the company that actually controls WordPress and WordPress.org, update their plugins frequently, okay, especially when there are let's say patch issues or security issues or bug issues. They're usually on top of it right away. So when you're going to use any PayPal or Stripe payment gateway, look no further than these two. That's just my advice from having used these plugins for years. Okay, nearly a decade. So the next plugin here is W3 Total Cache. So W3 Total Cache is a caching plugin. So what is caching? So think of caching as your fridge, your website's fridge. So it creates a static version of the website, and it delivers it to your users. So by having that static version of the website in that user's browser history, the pages load much more efficiently, okay, and quicker. So you save a lot of time. So this is something you use ancillary to a content distribution network or a CDN. And I'm gonna have a separate video on how to actually install W3 Total Cache, and I'm gonna link it in the description, and how to set up a CDN with W3 Total Cache, a content distribution network. So we're gonna learn what a CDN is and how W3 Total Cache can help us connect to a CDN, and why a CDN is important to use with a e-commerce website. So with e-commerce websites, speed is of the essence. So if you don't have speed, you potentially lose out on customers. So we'll talk about that, and that will be a standalone video. So classic widgets and classic editor. Let's go install these two things. So WordPress, the new version of WordPress, we already actually have classic editor installed here. And let's talk about why we did that. So the classic editor looks like this. Let's go to post, all post, and let's create a new post so we can see the WYSIWYG editor. And a WYSIWYG editor is simply stands for what you see is what you get. So basically a text editor. So the classic text editor with WordPress works a lot better than the new version. WordPress has created a new editor experience that, in my view, is all over the place, and they tried to simplify, okay, the classic editor, but in the process, they have changed way too many things that make it more, let's say, seamless to use. So the classic editor is much more designed in a simple way, where you have all the tools you need without this cumbersome graphics that you see with the new WordPress Gutenberg editor. Okay, so you should have that installed. And then we have classic widgets. So our If we go to appearance and then we go to widgets, you'll see that we're using our classic widgets experience. Let's just double check to make sure. So we're using the classic widgets section. So the new widgets experience with the WordPress Gutenberg editor is not that great. Okay, so we want to use classic editor and the classic widgets editor. And let's take a look at who those plugins are by. Users, let's go to plugins, installed plugins. So this is by WordPress contributors. So, and also the classic editor is also by WordPress contributors. So this is a collective. They are WordPress contributors that are plugin authors. And they essentially are sort of like WordPress purists that like to keep the original core WordPress controls intact. Yoast is an SEO plugin. Let's install that. We won't go over what Yoast, how to configure Yoast entirely, because that could be its own separate video. And Yoast has a lot of documentation on how to set up the plugin properly, but you should use it. And you should use it because it organizes your content to make it crawlable by the search engines. So let's go to plugins, add new. And if your website is organized in a fashion that is crawlable, this is designed to help you rank better in the search engines, because there's nothing that Google likes more or Microsoft Bing likes more than an organized website. So let's go here and let's type Yoast. Now Yoast is the #1 SEO plugin on WordPress. As you can see, there's 5 million plus active installations. And it works. It works very well. It helps your website become more organized and crawlable by the search engines. Now, if you want to install Yoast and if you want to use this plugin, just go through the installation wizard and it will walk you through how to actually install this plugin, but it is essential that you have it. So let's take a look at WP Mailer. And actually, this is meant to be WP Mail SMTP. So sorry for that. So WMail SMTP changes your from address, among many other things it does. We primarily suggest using this for this reason. So when we go to plugins and we go to add new, let's type this. So by default, WordPress is going to send, whenever WordPress sends an email to a user. So in our case, we're using WooCommerce, and let's say we have product notifications. Well, WordPress is going to send your customer a notification about their order status, etc. So what WP Mail SMTP does is it changes the from address, because WordPress is sending the email as WordPress. So it will say WordPress @ and then your domain. Well, that doesn't look too professional. You know, that's none of the customer's business what CMS platform you're using, right? So if you want something that's going to be a little bit more professional, like an email that's coming from a specific @ your domain address, WP Mail SMTP does that for you, among many other things. It also allows you to connect to external mail servers like AWS SCS, Zoho, Gmail, so that you're actually sending email from those accounts using WordPress as sort of the conduit, the intermediary, right? So we're going to activate this. And again, this is one of these plugins that has an installation wizard. So just walk yourself through the installation wizard to set that up. But I highly recommend you use this plugin because you want to make sure you change your mail from designation, okay? And this email does that. This plugin does that, rather. So 8 is the email customizer. Okay, so WooCommerce by default doesn't come with the best email templates. So when your customer orders something from you, they're going to get the standard WooCommerce email template showing them things like the price, what they ordered, their shipping, all the communication that has to do with an online transaction is going to be sent using the WooCommerce templates. Okay, and they're not always the best looking. So we want to use Email Customizer, and what Email Customizer does is it allows us to flexibly control these emails, the look and the feel of these emails. So this is the one right here by Theme High. It has a drag and drop nature. We're going to install now, and we're going to activate it. Okay, and this is by Theme High. So you'll get a list of the plugins we're using along with the links in the description on where you can get the plugins. The last is one of the old school plugins that is on WordPress that is used by millions, and that's contact form number 7. So you need a way to be able to contact your customers, to be able to contact you. Now by default, okay, Woodmark comes with pretty good, robust contact form templates, okay? But if you didn't like any of them, you should use contact form number 7. So let's take a look at one of the templates, the contact form templates that actually come with Woodmark. So let's view this. As you can see, it's a little bit more elaborate, but it is using contact form number 7, okay? It's just designed and done up, okay? So let's take a look at this plugin. Should be already installed, contact form number 7. As you can see, it's already installed. Okay, and this is by Takayuki Mayoshi. So if we come here, let's actually view the details of this plugin. You'll see that is installed by millions of people. It's the most popular, one of the most popular WordPress plugins in existence. So contact form number 7 is also a great essential plugin you should have. Now, by default, the theme Woodmark comes with contact form number 7. Okay, so you don't need to install it, but as you can see, they integrated it into the theme templates to create some of these contact form templates. So this is the essential plugins list. They will be in the description along with the links. Let's move on.